What's up? Welcome to Pick Central. That's a hell of a shot. Myself and Big F, Two-Man Tuesday?
Yeah.
Two-Man Tuesday on Pick Central, July 23rd. Got some things, another one of those score articles, wrote some questions about NFL teams. We're going to dive into that, but this is kind of like a no-brainer. The NFLPA Executive Director Lloyd Howell was quoted, tells the Washington Post's article on ESPN in terms of the 18-game schedule that they're getting close. A lot of talks. We've kind of seen that. This is something we should be talking about and should really really pump the tires and understand what else goes into the decision-making process. Where does the 18th game come from? I think the foregone conclusion is that, well, you just grab it like in order, in other words, what would otherwise be preseason games in August. Open to adding before the CBA ends in 2030. So this is, again, like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those things like it was always going to happen. They went to 17 weeks. You knew it was going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I think the players will like it. They'll do 2 buys.
Of course.
And I mean, Rodgers even talked about it on part of my take, I think this week, where think about even 5-10 years ago, they actually played preseason games. No one that's like any good actually plays preseason. So it's kind of like, what are we doing here? We're just like throwing these games out willy-nilly. Even the 4th game, like you've already made your cuts and all that. Like no one, like most people aren't like making or not making the team off that 4th preseason game. Less preseason games, more regular season games. The only thing they are going to have to figure out though is the money.
That's another part of the quotes.
The players,
and stuff.
they need to make, if they're going to play more games,
100%. Yeah. So they said there's financial things that need to be worked out, but I saw that quote in terms of stories on ESPN. It seems like an absolute no-brainer.
But that I think is going to do what I know you've said it. A lot of people have said it forever of doing like the President's Week.
Oh yeah,
Super Bowl.
They'll own it.
Extend
the NBA is going
to.
They're going to drop their dicks on the NBA because now the NBA has to figure out what they want to do for All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Move it back another week, and then it just lines up perfectly. You have a holiday.
It's a no-brainer. All right, in terms of some questions, these are big questions. Every team's question mark in the NFL, so we can take a lot of time with this because I got the NFC and the AFC. So it's alphabetical order is the way it kind of went down. How does Kirk Cousins look rehabbing with his new team in terms of Atlanta? And again, you don't need to answer these, but like these are the questions that are going into everybody's training camps, and they're all pretty legit. You know, there's some that like I didn't even know about. It's like who's the play caller in a certain spot. Jacksonville, I'll give that one away early. Like Jacksonville's got some issues with who's calling the plays. That's a decent point between the offensive coordinator and Doug Peterson. But Atlanta, I think Atlanta's the fun team of the year.
Yeah, I mean, they're the team that I think has like the biggest like boom or bust, where you have a team that is built to win. The defense has improved a lot. You have legit playmakers everywhere from Robinson to Drake London, Pitts. Offensive line's pretty good.
I mean, Cousins is a playmaker too.
That's what
We're not going to knock that.
You've just had horrible quarterback play, and you're finally going to have at least, you'd hope, like decent quarterback play. Ritter was so bad, and they still were able to win some games with him. I mean, if Kirk Cousins can be the guy he's been the last like 5 years, I don't see how they're not at least a playoff team.
Right.
Especially with the 3 wild cards.
Yeah.
And the division stinks. I mean.
Well, I think they got to win the division. I don't think that they're a lock to win the division, but I think when you look at like what's going on and how bad that division is, they got to win that division. You gotta host a home playoff game, especially how bad they've been. You got to host a home playoff game. It just sets you up for like trying to make that run. Now the other part of that is, are they a team who is a max win a playoff game and that's it?
No.
You don't think so?
I'm buying high on them the next 2 years overall.
So you think they can make like an NFC championship game?
For sure.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like buying very high on the Falcons. The next 2 years, I'm not saying this year I'm going to put them as like Super Bowl contenders, but I think this is the year that they break through officially, maybe win a playoff game.
Right.
That's
I'm saying this year I think their ceiling is winning one playoff game.
I still think they can make an NFC championship run.
Really?
I really like them.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I think they're still my fun team. That's the team I'm like rooting for.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously rooting for the Giants and usually try to pick a fun AFC team.
Just the way that the things could break for your way, it's not crazy for me to say for how high I am on the Falcons overall for them to make an NFC championship.
Listen, I know like it was a personal, but as bad as they were, was that 2 years ago? When was it? When did I keep saying the Falcons can make a run and they threw away the division? Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, I mean but the last few years they've been
I was day trading them, and they were in a lot of games. They lost to the Panthers, I remember, on one of those Thursday nights. They were in that division. I think it was 2 seasons ago.
that was when P.J. Walker had maybe the best pass in NFL history.
Yes, it was 2 seasons
Hail
ago.
Mary that wasn't really a Hail Mary.
Yeah, it was 2 seasons ago. So that's what it was. But so as bad as they've been okay. Or they can be competent in that division. You're never out of that division.
No, they were. I mean, it's crazy to think they were picking 8th, but they were in a lot of games they lost. They, like I said, Ritter was so bad, just so horrifically bad that I almost think just plugging any different quarterback in there is going to be improvement. But Kirk Cousins, like I said, if he's the guy he's been, a massive improvement. And I mean, I think what he's going to do for Pitts, for Drake London, for just the whole receiving core, just the offense in general, I think they're going to have a new play caller in this year. Obviously, Smith's out. Raheem Morrison, they have a defensive, more a defensive guy as the head coach, but new play caller. So, I mean, they've got to be optimistic. I would agree with Dukes, right? I do think their ceiling is higher than one playoff win, but I think they're the team that has the most, I think they have the most variance, though, as well. I think they can be the most volatile.
Or it could be a shit show, too.
So one point against, I think everything they have on the field is there. The biggest question mark for me is the coaching.
Yeah, they're also the Falcons. I feel like they're a franchise that things go against them. I know Clemmer's not going to want to listen to that, but they're feel like things go against the Falcons.
20, what are you going to say, 28-3 in the Super Bowl?
28-3. They had Tony Gonzalez. They had a year they made the NFC Championship. I had them to win the Super Bowl that year. Bad break that way. Who was aside from Vic? They had Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan was nice. It seems I don't know. It just seems like things don't go their way. They're a franchise that doesn't get a lot of nice things.
I think their rap in the past 5 years, especially thanks to the gambling page, we'll just be you always want to take them to cover and they never did. That was towards that. I think they get that rap nowadays.
Yeah, but that means you lose. That means you lose games as well.
For sure, I think it's that's recency bias more than anything, wrapped up with everything that happened. I don't know. I don't know. I think their coaching is for me the biggest. What could take them over the top?
Definitely, I would say it's the other question mark. I mean, and a lot of people obviously pointed to them drafting Penix, not just investing in a guy that could help the team right now. You have Cousins, but I guess in theory you had Cousins has been hurt. So, and I've said a bunch. I like Penix a lot as a quarterback, but if things go the way they want them to, he's not going to play this.
No. The other thing is, you look at what they have on the field. Why not? Why didn't they really, really go for Belichick?
Because of Robert Kraft.
Yeah.
That conversation. I don't know. If they took Belichick, taking my cap off, I would have probably bet them to win the Super Bowl. That's how I think they have answered every question mark that I have on the field.
Yeah.
Their line is stacked. Their receiving core is sweet. They got the running back. They got the quarterback. Their offense almost looks.
I actually like Rondale Moore a lot. So.
Right. Darnell Mooney, I love.
Yeah, I mean they're in a good spot. I want them to win that division. They're my fun team. That's the team I'm backing on. I think they're going to be a red zone all-star team too. I mean that's going to be in a ton of games in red zone with crazy moments. That's just how it's going to be.
I just wonder if they're going to be the same. If just as a whole, Kirk Cousins just brings such a. Should I say gunslinger? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if gunslinger exactly fits him, but. He definitely gets wild, but but he slings it though. He's gonna throw it downfield. So I'm definitely curious with the play calling, how they're gonna go about this offense with him at the helm. But I agree, they're definitely one of the more exciting teams that things could go very either way for them.
Yeah. I didn't do all 30 teams. I did the ones that I thought was oh, okay, that's a good question. So Chicago Bears. Can the offense?
You forgot the alphabet, by the way.
What?
You forgot the alphabet.
What do you mean?
Arizona.
No, I didn't write down every team.
You didn't?
No.
He's not doing all of them.
I'm not doing all of them.
I thought you were doing all of them.
Arizona's was Kyler. Pull it up. What was it?
No, you're good.
Something with Kyler Murray.
I agree.
I wasn't.
It was Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, I wasn't thrilled with that. These are the ones I found interesting. Chicago, can the offense stay healthy and produce? A lot of talent. But if you look at, again, another franchise that things don't happen nice to them, they've yet to have a quarterback. The last, Eric Kramer holds records. It's from 1995. We're in a passing league, dude. 3,800 yards and 29 TDs. We're in a passing league. They got to figure it out. It was 30 years ago.
I mean, they've literally just never had like a really good quarterback. Ever.
No.
Ever.
No, they don't make the playoffs.
I mean, they have all the talent. Like, no, they have all the talent in the world. Listen. They give Poles credit. They get the front office. They did everything right with this that they didn't do with Fields. So it just can you get it right this time? They got the line improved, the defense improved. You got three.
He's got some weapons.
Went 2 stud receivers. Went out and got 2 stud receivers, and then you drafted another one with a top 10 pick. I mean, they all like Moore's a big speed guy. Allen's more like great possession guy, but dynamic as well. And then Odunze's just a monster, big play guy. Can throw him a jump ball. Can kind of do a little bit of everything. So I mean, it's all there for them to be good. As if Caleb Williams is as advertised, it's almost impossible for them to be bad. Like everything's there. The foundation
good division,
is all there.
Very good division.
For him to just step in, and if he plays well, like they're going to be very, very good.
Yeah, I think the Bears are in a decent spot where even if they lose some of those close games and finish like 7-9, you could see the writing is on the wall of like what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like Williams is here. They got offense. They're I don't want to say rolling at 7-9, but they could be rolling. That's the foundation is being built where the Bears are. They found something.
I'm going to be fascinated to watch this team on Hard Knocks. One of the teams I'm more excited to watch on Hard Knocks last like 5-10 years, just because they have so much like potential around them.
I mean, they're going to make Williams look ridiculous.
Just plugging in this number 1 quarterback. But I think you're going to get to see like a little. I think they'll be like a very interesting team, and I think a lot of it because of Caleb Williams. To see like how he is with the guys, how he is just like with the coaches in the quarterback room, with the other quarterbacks, like to see kind of how this Gen, like the first Gen Z quarterback kind of thing, going and have to lead a locker room of men.
Yeah,
like just how kind of that, like, even just in general, because obviously Stroud did it last year. You wouldn't categorize him as like the Gen Z guy, basically just because he didn't paint his nails. But I mean, it's similar, like just a young guy going in and leading like a bunch of vets, like a Keenan Allen, like a Montez Sweat, all these guys. Like you got to lead this locker room. Yeah. You don't have to lead it by yourself, but you got to be like a guy that kind of falls in line, but also like takes that step forward to be like a guy that they can rally around as well.
Right.
That's massive, especially like you said with the team, because it's rare. We're like Stroud's situation last year we talked about. He had no expectations.
None.
This team has all the expectations in the world. They're favored to make the playoffs. And I think
a lot to ask for a rookie.
I think they should be based on the talent, but like I said, he's the obvious biggest X factor.
Right. Would you say biggest X factor in the league?
That's a tough question. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely a strong argument.
Think him
because I think
Rodgers,
like he's the type where
Cousins. They're all names that like are big X factors this year.
Because I mean, Williams, like if he just balls out, they're a legit like NFC contender. That's how I see it. I'm very high on them. If he's the guy, they're going to be really, really good.
Yeah, I think they're going to be at the top for
the NFC
for the next like their windows. It's so weird to say this because again they just dropped.
So you don't know nothing about Williams,
but you also have
in the NFL. I mean, you know he's got the makeup, but you know
the talent that they have right now, offensively and defensively. When you have a rookie quarterback on this contract, you're really giving yourself. It's crazy to say a short window.
Yeah.
Till if he performs the way that you think he's going to perform, you're going to have to pay him eventually, like at year 3 or 4. So, I think for right now, like I agree with Ev totally. I'm not going to put them down as contenders this year, but I think it wouldn't surprise me to see them at the top of the NFC rankings, top 3 seed.
Cowboys, are there big contracts? How are their big contracts being handled? You got Dak looking for a new deal. He says the team reached out to him or they're talking, but nothing's coming from there. Lamb missed minicamp because he's holding out. Yeah. And you got Micah Parsons looking for a new deal as well.
So
these are 3 big-time stars that, you know, it seems like there's always like drama in Dallas anyway. Their owner's a drama queen. You got 3 of the stars looking for drama. With a team that's supposed to try and make the playoffs, supposed to win that division, could see it being an issue as it goes. They lose 2 in a row. Contracts now. I'm not happy. Somebody holds out. It's a lot of things to tie up there in Dallas.
Yeah, I think with Dak, it seems like right now, basically, unless something changes in the next month or whatever it is, I don't think he's going to sign a new deal before the season. He's probably not. And it's crazy because it's been very rare we've seen a quarterback of his caliber just full on hit free agency. Like I guess Kirk Cousins did it, but you can argue caliber or whatever. But a guy that without injury and all that just kind of like hit free agency and just like hit the market. Where it's basically if they don't give him this deal in the next month, that's exactly what they're going to do. So that's very rare, like in the NFL, to have a guy like that's what is he going to be like 30, like early 30s at worst. Like he's still playing a really good ball. I'm not a Dak guy, and obviously I'm just hate the Cowboys, so I love watching him just shit his pants in the playoffs like he does every year. But he's obviously very talented, and he's had unbelievable regular seasons. And then you have CD, who's like arguably the best or one of the best receivers in the league. He needs a massive deal now. Jefferson just got a big deal. St. Brown just got a big deal. You're going to have to give him like Jefferson-type money. His numbers are Jefferson-esque. If we put them together, they're very similar. He's going to want that kind of money. That's going to be a ton of money. And then Parsons is coming up in like another year. You're going to have to. I think this will be, his third year?
I think so.
So, I mean, and that he's a first-round pick, so he's going to be up. He'll get the like fifth-year option, and you're going to have to pay him a shit-ton DN money. And he's been like the best, so he's going to command $30+ million a year. So it's like, how are you going to pay all these guys? Or are they just going to move on from Dak? There's so many questions. Because the problem with me is...
Well, the other thing, if you move on from Dak, is CeeDee Lamb going to be thrilled signing an extension? Because he doesn't know who his quarterback is.
Or just what do they do from there? Because this year, even if Dak left for some reason, it would have to be a total disaster for them to be picking high in the draft. Like, this is a team with a ton of talent. Like, you're thinking they're going to be a playoff team. They're highly favored to be a playoff team. So it's like, where do you, like, they're kind of in this very weird spot.
Yeah, but who's playing quarterback?
No, but that's what I'm saying. They're in this very weird, delicate spot where they're rolling out this team one more time that's fallen in their face in the playoffs like 3-4 times in a row. They haven't really gotten any better. They're the same, like, they haven't made these big, for example, like a Texans this year, they go out and get a bunch of guys. Some other teams that, like the Bears, go sign a bunch of guys. The Cowboys are the same team. Like, the personnel is basically the same as it was last year. They made no big moves. They didn't lose like a ton, but they didn't pick up anybody. No. Literally anybody of note. So it's hard to expect them to be better other than just executing better, playing better. So it's like, what are they going to do? If it doesn't work this year, what do they do now? Do you just pay all these guys a shit ton of money when they win a team that can't get over the hump? Like, they're going to be in a very, very weird spot if things don't go very right for them this year.
The Lions, did the secondary overhaul work? So last year, they had a nice season. They had a great season. Blow that lead. Should have won that. Been in the Super Bowl. God knows what happens there. But they gave up 247.4 pass yards a game, the worst in the NFL. Had to draft corners in the first and second round. The kid Arnold and Rackstraw. And they went and added vets, Carlton Davis and Amik Robinson. So this is now a secondary that was on its heels last year. And now, does this work? Two rookie corners. Are they both starting? They're adding some vets. Are they mixing that up? I'm sure they're going to have packages and rotate the four. But are these guys the answer? I'm not going to pretend like I know enough about the secondary. I do remember that you could throw on the Lions. They were moving the ball. You could move the ball on them. So I'm not going to pretend like I know the ins and outs of these guys' games. But this is a big-time question for a team that everybody seems to pick to win the Super Bowl. I mean, or be a Super Bowl pick.
They were a fun team to watch because they were just in a ton of high-scoring games. Because, I mean, their offense is awesome. But I like Terry Arnold was really good at Bama. Rakestraw was really good at Mizzou. Right. And if you got to give them credit, at least this front office has drafted incredibly well. Last year, everyone was saying, "Oh, what an awful draft!" Dud. Their first 3 picks were all like impact starters immediately. Gibbs, Campbell, Laporta, all studs year one, massive impacts. I mean, Pro Bowl type guys. So you got to give them a little bit of respect on that. In that regard, that they drafted well, trust them again. They had big needs. I know Rakestraw was talking about a guy that was going first round corner, ended up going second. A lot of people like Terry and Arnold too. So I feel like I trust their judgment, their player personnel critique. So I mean, I would think they're going to be improved. And like I said, they kept St. Brown. They should, like, a lot of their guys are still young. Their talented guys are very young. They're just continuing to build. I don't see how they're not just a legit. They're a Super Bowl contender. Now it's the expectations. Like the year before, they were like a game short of the playoffs. Last year, like I said, they should have made the Super Bowl. They were just short. They're basically Super Bowl bust.
Yeah,
that's where the roster is. They're that good. They're that talented.
Yeah, the only thing is, that does the secondary hold up? It's a big question. Should we pay more attention to who drafts well in the NFL? Like, should there almost be? I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Like you said, the Lions. Like, I didn't realize the Lions were drafting well like that. You know what I mean? But like, should you have always a 3-year floating scale of where a team's been in terms of what their draft picks have impacted?
Absolutely. I've said for years, that's why the Giants have been so bad. They've drafted horrible.
Right.
They've drafted so badly.
Like, should there be like a 3-year that should come out in the preseason? Forget the top 10 quarterback rankings and we're having fun with the questions and things like that. But like, should there be a website where or somebody who knows what they're talking about, like lay that out to you? Like, hey, in the last 3 years, this is kind of the grade that they've had on an impact. In the last 5 years, this is the kind of grade they've had on impact draft picks. In a 10-year, even a 10's probably too long, but like 3 and 5. You can like really take a look. Yeah. 3 and 5, and then you could show because it's like, what did they get anybody in the 6th and 7th round that turned out to be nice? Like that's like a +1. But if you get somebody who's like in the 1st and 2nd round, that's a stud. That's like a +3 to your grade. But it's a -3 if you screw it up. You know what I'm saying? That floating scale of like just grade. We should be looking at how teams draft and the impact it's had on them in the last 3 to 5 years, because I think that's especially current administrations, or like if a GM moves, like, hey, he's got a good track record in Seattle, now he's going to the Lions, this is going to be a home run. Like where you can almost forecast how they're going to be. You can buy low on a team like a stock. You know what I mean?
Well, really, I mean, the best way to determine it is like almost simply as how many of these guys you draft do you give a second contract to?
Yeah.
Right.
Because like no one, like if they're like, listen, there are guys that might not pan out somewhere, go somewhere else and do well. But if you re-sign a guy that you drafted, it's because he performed.
Right.
Like,
well, that all goes into the grade. Yeah, 100%.
I think it's like even just like when you draft, if you get drafted to the Giants, and this happens to me, and a guy leaves for a second contract, you don't think of him kind of being like, he stayed with us, so that's a successful draft pick. No, if he goes to another team and he gets a contract, that's a great draft pick still.
Yes, it should be graded that way.
Yes.
Now, it sucks that you don't have that guy, but you should be able to show, and then that forecast. Listen, teams who get hot on hot runs at draft picks, it's not guaranteed. This is shooting darts. A lot of it is a crapshoot. As much preparation goes into it, a lot of it is a crapshoot. Caleb Williams could be a crapshoot. Could be bad. Bo Nix could be the best quarterback we've ever seen. It's a complete crapshoot.
I think more than anything, you could tell a good GM in draft picks. I firmly believe rounds like 3 to 5.
Right.
That's where
you grade that too. Yeah.
I mean, you have to obviously nail your first round draft picks for your fan base and for the sports talk radio, but I think you get the most value from rounds 3 to 5, and to show your worth as a GM.
No, that's how you build the meat and potatoes of your team.
Yeah, exactly.
Like your roster. Listen, you're going to make big free agent splashes. You're going to make trades like here and there. But your roster is truly built on draft picks.
Yeah.
That what determines the success of your football team is draft picks.
One point I just got texted, the Lions, you think about the upside, they play 14 of 17 games indoors this year. Goff's QBR was 26 points higher when playing indoors last year.
That's huge for them. It's a great stat.
That's a good stat. Shout out Benny Fazio.
All right, shout out Benny Fazio.
I saw like a meme the other day. I forget the context of it all, but it was basically just being like, this is like Jared Goff without the play action. Like basically being like Jared Goff's worthless without the play action. And I don't know the stats of the QBR behind it, but that's something I'm interested in. I feel like he's so successful out of the play action indoors.
Well, they've had guys who can run. I mean, that's
right.
Credit to that. You got to be able to play action works when you got a legit runner.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Lions too.
Yeah,
like the Lions offensive line.
See, like awesome. I guess like that. Now that we're just talking about going back to the Falcons, I guess that's where I'm kind of leaning. I love the Falcons' run game. I love what like, and again, I think people are having this huge question mark behind Kirk Cousins, right? And like the injury and the torn Achilles. From my perspective, I get it, but it's also 2024, not 1990.
I think it's the combo of that and his age. It's a torn Achilles at like 38. I think that's really what it is.
I think mostly for me too. It's not that he's like. It's not like he's a running back, a tight end. It's not gonna. He's just doing drop back.
There's
he's not a mobile quarterback.
There's also a little bit of the worry. I don't think it's gonna happen to Cousins this year, but there's a little bit of that worry with like Matt Ryan when he went to Indianapolis and some other quarterbacks that we've just seen. When the car just runs out of gas. And you're watching it unfold, and you're like, what happened? And it's like, this car, there's nothing left. And it's just, you get to a certain age, and you no longer can, like, compete in the league. You no longer can be effective in the league. I worry at that age could that happen to Cousins? I don't think it will, but could that happen to Cousins?
That's exactly why they drafted a quarterback number 8.
I totally agree. But in terms of what we're talking about, the Falcons making a run, if the car runs out of gas and now you got Penix, that's a way different scope of what you thought coming into the season. That's all I'm going to say.
For sure, but I think, listen, they make the big investment, $100 million guaranteed, $180 for the 4 years or whatever. But they also, I think they did that knowing, hey, he's 38, he's coming off an Achilles. If he booms like he did before and he's great. And if not, we have this kid waiting for him.
Because he was really good last year up until the injury. Really good.
He was.
The defense stunk.
He was a little. He definitely played well. Numbers were huge. But they also, I think, just worth saying, they were down big in a lot of those games. A lot of second half, throwing the ball every play. So I think I will say with him, I think it was a little bit of both. They were throwing some huge passing numbers in second halves, losing games. So I think there's a little. I think saying one hand, you have to kind of caveat with the other.
I get that perspective, and I've used that perspective, but I think that it's sometimes annoying to hear because you still have to throw the ball and you still have to get it to your fucking two receivers, and he did it at a very efficient rate. So sorry.
No, he played well. No, he definitely did play well.
Yeah,
he threw he can still chuck it, but I agree it's was because we've seen it with you guys. You said Matt Ryan, we've seen it with Phil Rivers, even Peyton when he had the thigh injury.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're slinging the rock, and then all of a sudden you wake up the next year and your arm just falls off.
It's crazy.
It happened to Eli a little bit.
Right.
It was one
your arm
just
it's just over.
Off.
One day it's just over. And like you said, he had a good year last year, Kirk Cousins. But all of a sudden, it's out of nowhere. You're like, what happened? I worry a little bit with Russell. Russell Wilson had a good year, but
his would be less shocking to me. I do think that
Well, I'm just saying, there's a pattern of a quarterback where it just goes. Yeah. You no longer can play.
It's like when you picture someone in a jersey. We could look back in 20 years and be like, what the fuck? We're playing the dozen with Jeff D. Lone. It's who went from the Seattle to and then to Pittsburgh and then all this shit. I don't know. I get what you're saying. Close your eyes, picture someone in a jersey. It doesn't fit.
No, Ewing. That will always be the one. And Olajuwon playing for the Raptors.
Where did Ewing go after?
Seattle and Orlando.
Oh, I knew Orlando. That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's bad. And he coached for Orlando too. Green Bay, do they have or need a wide receiver 1? Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed. Is that a wide receiver 1?
No, I think they're good. They just got a bunch of good receivers.
Okay.
They're all young as hell. I mean, I don't think they need. I mean, if they had to say one guy is the one, it would be Watson when he's healthy.
Okay.
But I think they just have a bunch of good receivers. When they have him, they have Dobbs.
But they don't have a star.
Reed. They have they have Melton.
They don't have a star.
They have the guy, is it Wilkes or something?
Yeah.
He's pretty good. Wicks. Wicks. So I think they got 4 or 5 guys that are really solid, and they're all young, and they've all kind of came up together. I don't think they need a true a one to make it work. I think they made it work just fine, and I think all those guys are just going to keep improving.
How does the quarterback battle shake out in Minnesota?
I mean, everything that comes out now, it sounds like Darnold's going to at least start early.
Okay, I don't hate that. I don't think you should always throw a guy into the fire right away.
Listen, if you think Darnold's if you think he's better right now, I get it because I've said I don't need to sit here and just trash McCarthy over and over. I think he could be decent, but I understand where he's very young. He didn't get asked to do a lot. So to just give him the keys and just say, hey, let's chuck it 30, 40 times a game is not even something he had to do in college. So I understand trying to work him up to that point. He's the guy, even when you watch little behind the scenes, I watch a behind the scenes video on YouTube, 20 minutes with the Vikings, with a pre-draft process and then drafted him. He's a kid where I see where a coach falls in love with him. He's everything you'd want. And the kid, he's give me the playbook right now. Give me the playbook. He'd run through a brick wall for you. He's that kind of guy. He's a guy, he's a very nice kid, a hard worker. I get all of it. But it's just, can he play? But I understand wanting to give him some time to, get it together where I think he, just turned 21.
Yeah.
And he's never had to run an offense where he's literally had to, do a ton.
No.
So I get it.
I think you should wait on him. So I think it's Darnold and then McCarthy.
Pat Mahomes and J.J. McCarthy, basically the same thing.
Yep.
So Pat Mahomes had to sit. Yeah. I do think, and I've said this to Ev before, especially because I'm a J.J. dick rider. I do think that Sam Darnold can thrive in this offense. And it's like, look at his track record, for sure. I don't think Sam Darnold's a good enough quarterback, clearly, to lift up bad talent. But he has a good receiving core around him that I think he can get himself a deal where we're talking by the end of the year being like, wait, could he start for a team that needs a quarterback or needs a transition quarterback? So
Right.
I like the Sam Darnold move. I think that he could perform very well with the.
You think he can be like this year / like next year's Gardner Minshew?
Exactly. Like I think
be like a bridge guy, decent
exactly.
contract,
and that is a huge role nowadays. Like even like look at Jacoby Brissett. Like the Patriots picked him up purely to be like, all right, like could he win us a few games? Sure. Like, but we don't want him to be our future. We just want him to be able to
start like this year at most.
You know who's going to need that?
And to be a mentor.
The Jets are going to need that soon. They're going to need a gap guy. I'm telling you.
But they're a little bit different because they're all in right now.
Yeah, they're all in, but then
they don't really
but they're not going to get a high draft pick.
Yeah, but that's one of those things like this almost feels like you're crossing that bridge when you got a Rodgers type like at his age you're crossing that bridge.
But I'm just saying they're going to need a gap guy.
You're going until the wheels fall off.
I think they're going to need a gap guy because they're not going to have a high draft pick. And they will ride Rodgers till the wheels come off. They won't have a high draft pick.
If you don't have a high draft pick, that just means that things worked out. At least somewhat. Maybe not.
No, I think it can work. I think it can work out. You can get in the mix, but you not win a Super Bowl.
I just think the roster they have, if he's fully healthy for the whole year, they're a playoff team.
Yes.
That would be if he played every game.
But are they a Super Bowl team? If they don't win the Super Bowl, it would have worked out for Rodgers, and then you need a gap guy. You're in it's a tough spot.
But I think it all depends how long he plays, because he's saying like 2 more.
Okay. But if you don't win a Super Bowl in 2 years, that's a tough spot to be because you'll always be in the mix. You'll have a low draft pick or high draft pick, I guess, and not be in, and then need a gap guy because you will not get a rookie.
Sure, but I guess to me, just when a team in that situation just feels weird to talk about now because it's like a team, for example, like we're talking about the Vikings, like they're not all in right now,
right?
Like they're like, are they even like we said talk about Minshew, like the Raiders, like Raiders are like sort of all in, but they're not like all in right now. They are, but they're not. Like the Jets.
No, the Raiders aren't all in.
The Jets are truly like
Raiders are finding themselves.
Like all the Jets, all the chips are in the middle. Like this season, next season, like they're trying to win a Super Bowl, and if it doesn't happen, then like wheels are gonna fall off, and then you're just gonna pick up the pieces when that time comes.
Giants, does the run game have any hope? This is a direct quote. Any hope without Saquon Barkley? Singletary yet to hit 900 yards in a season.
I mean, I
like Singletary.
He had I really think that's a little. He had a really good year last year. If he was a starter last year, he would have ran for 1,000 yards. I think he was just under it in not maybe a little more than half the season. I mean, it's all about the line. I mean, it's literally.
I think it's also about Daniel Jones. Can he pressure a defense to make him think he's going to throw, and then opens up the run game?
But it's like the new guy. It's the John Runyon Jr. Is he going to come in and make a big impact? Illuminar, is he going to make a big impact? Evan Neal is the biggest X factor, not maybe the biggest X factor, but a huge X factor where we're rolling him out like one more time to me. If he shits the bed in preseason, he's got to go. Like he's been so bad. Yeah. Listen, I understand he was a 7th overall pick. I get it. You invested heavily on him. This is year 3. If he ain't it this year, he's never going to be it. If they're trying him again at right tackle, which I don't fully understand, I think we should move him to guard, let Illuminaire play tackle. Sounds like Illuminaire is going to play tackle. And John Runyon Jr. is usually a left guard. They're putting him at right guard because they think he's stronger, and they want to anchor him with the weaker link in Neal. Then put like Andrew Thomas, John Runyon on the left side. So basically, their 2 best linemen are on the left. So is that going to work? I don't know. But if Evan Neal can be like even just like a competent starter, that would be massive for this offense. But he's been fucking dog shit.
I got a kick out of this one. Philly, will the tush push work without Jason Kelce?
Really quick.
Yeah.
There was another clip that just dropped from Hard Knocks last night. Do you guys want to talk?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that, the Giants tried to trade up hours before the draft.
Yeah, I mean that.
I didn't see the clip, but I knew it already. Like it was a known thing with the Patriots.
It dropped last night, or it's dropping tonight.
I think it just keeps dropping.
Yeah, it was a known thing.
Right.
But yeah.
My question for you guys is, what do you think Daniel Jones is thinking after he just watches this unfold and he sees, or do you think he's known for a long time?
I think after the season he had last year, he has to know.
I think he had to know that they were looking at. Yeah.
It's not even just that he hasn't played well. He's hurt all the time.
Plus, I mean, top 6 is where you can go get a quarterback. There was a deep quarterback draft. Like he's Duke educated. He's not a dummy. I think he realized there was a possibility. It was like draft day. I think there was a possibility that I'm good, or whatever. The quarterback in the room was good, and they paid him. But there's a possibility, yes, they go draft the quarterback. I don't think that's groundbreaking news to him. Absolutely not.
He's coming off a neck injury and a torn ACL. Neck and backs are always like those are things you deal with for a long time. I just see like with how bad he was, the injuries. It's almost like how could he have not thought they were going to inquire? Like you said, they had a high pick, deep quarterback class
for sure.
And I think we talked about it too. This one was in the last episode, I believe. Was he basically said to Dable, "You like Daniels enough to trade after?" And he was like, "Yes." So it wasn't even just May. They like Daniels a lot too. So that was their cutoff. Those two guys were clearly like there. We would trade up for these guys. Like, I mean, it's obvious. They could have just picked McCarthy. They could have picked Penix.
Yeah, if they panicked, if they were panicking.
Like, if they love those guys that much, they would have just taken them. Clearly, there was a firm cutoff after May where they were like, these are the 3 guys we'd invest legit future high assets in.
Right.
And after that, we're not willing to do that for these other guys. We'd rather just draft an unbelievable receiver and go from there.
I always wonder with the way that this show unfolded. Like they're like, "Hey, this is going to come out behind the scenes, so we want to give you." I just wonder if they had that conversation.
We're like the guinea pigs for it because it's the first of its kind.
It's really cool.
Like I'm fascinated to see really the next season because I want to see like are the Giants just shitheads, or is just every front office kind of operating in a similar fashion, and we're just getting a glimpse inside for the first time. Because you see so many variables of it from decision-making with free agents that we don't have to talk about the Saquon thing again. I thought the way they handled it was bad, and Saquon's now talking about whatever. Not even the not resign him, just like the man-to-man way it was handled I didn't like.
Right.
But whatever, that is what it is. But even just the Mara handling where he's like, oh, if he goes to the Eagles and them like trading. There was a clip from him, I think it's going to be on tonight's episode, of them talking about like if we trade up for May, we're going to give all these picks. And he's like, oh, I don't know. I'm going to be able to sleep and blah, blah, blah. So it's just like dealing with so many different dynamics, all the different guys in the front office, their opinions, the scouts, their opinions, and all coming together and saying, like, are we going to make this big trade up for the quarterback? How we're going to invest our money in free agency? Are we going to invest in the line? Are we going to invest in trade assets for Brian Burns, give him all the money? Like, there's so many elements of it that we're seeing and glimpse into for the first time that we've never really had with any other front office.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones would be a rockhead if he didn't realize that the Giants were looking at a quarterback.
He knew. He
had to.
We all knew. Like, even this, like, the thing with the Patriots, like, it was a Rappaport and all these guys reported, like, the Giants made a real offer, like, 2 or 3 first-round picks. They were legitimately, like, down to trade up to 3 and get May. That was a real thing.
San Francisco, how does the wide receiver room shake out? You got Ayuk with contract issues. You got him requesting a trade. Debo's got trade rumors, and they drafted Ricky Pearsall first round.
I like
for a team that got to the Super Bowl. There's a lot of drama in just one position.
Yeah, Ayuk's asking for the trade. Listen, it's classic contract. Like, he just wants the money. I get it. Debo did the same thing. Everyone thought it was a done deal. He was getting traded to the Jets. They re-signed him. I kind of feel like Ayuk's going to be similar. Maybe not. Maybe Ayuk is where they kind of have to finally say, hey, we draft a first-round receiver. You're going to trade you. Does he get traded to Washington? Does he get traded to Pittsburgh? I think there's a lot of places he could get traded to. Because I think he'd be a guy that would command a first-round pick. But also the problem is I think you're not going to get what you truly want for him because...
Why are they trying to trade him?
Because you have to pay him. Like, I think, and that's where, are they going to get the right compensation? Because any team that trades from we have to give up these picks, and then we're going to have to give them $25, $30 million a year.
Right.
For the next 3-4 years. And give him probably 60, 70% of that contract guaranteed. He's one of the best receivers in the league. So, I mean, that's where it's like, are they going to be able to make it work? And them drafting Pearsall, who I like Pearsall a lot, the Florida kid. I wonder if them drafting Pearsall is making it clear, like, hey, like, we could trade you. Like, we have Devo, we have Kittle, we have McCaffrey. We drafted this kid Pearsall we love. Like, we don't, receiver room's getting full.
Right.
Like, we could invest in other places on this roster.
And we still haven't won anything.
Yeah, we still wouldn't, just right there.
Right, yeah, a few times. But Tampa Bay, do Mike Evans and Levante David still have it?
I don't see. I mean,
I touched on Evans. He's getting 30. He turns 31 in a couple of weeks.
damn sure had it last year. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Evans was
He was unbelievable. He was
baller
unbelievable.
last year. So it's like how could you? Well, we said. I mean, listen. Hey, sometimes people fall off a cliff. I'd be very surprised to see it. Mike Evans. I mean, 10 straight years, 1,000 yards. 10 straight years.
That's Hall of Fame numbers.
Like,
I didn't realize it.
I think it's he's.
I guess you don't realize a guy is playing in front of your eyes.
He's way past Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
He's
a Hall of Famer.
He's getting to the point where like 1 or 2 more of these years and like
Right.
top like 5, 10 receiver of all time.
I think top. If he did this like again, I think one more year, it's going into that offseason. You're gonna be like, is he a top 5? And you'd really have to think about it.
And it's tough because you have like it's so hard to say they got top 5 when you have like
Nostalgia
like
factor.
Randy Moss and Jerry Rice
Right.
and like Calvin Johnson and some of these unbelievable guys.
Aside from
even TL because of the antics doesn't
But you
get the
just
credit
got
he
to put
deserves.
someone in the
but-
conversation, like just to have someone like to argue with. I don't know.
aside from the 2 years he played with Brady, did he have a like lights out quarterback in his career?
he had Jameis and then he's had Jameis.
So yeah, he's had a lights out quarterback.
He had what do you have Fitzpatrick for a little bit.
So yeah, I
He's
mean,
obviously had Baker last year. He's gonna have Baker again this year. That's pretty much what he's had.
Bucks.
that's it. Like relatively not superstar guys.
There's not a lot.
Who are we
of
talking
juice.
about? Kate Otten?
No, Mike Evans.
Yes.
We're doing this. The score came out with questions for every NFL team, so we went through. Yours was I got a kick out of this. Does the push work in Philly without Jason Kelsey? It's a legitimate question.
Where they got that from?
They probably got it from us, but score is friends, so it is what it is. Baltimore, can the O-line deliver? Rookie is replacing Morgan Moses. They lost a Pro Bowl right guard and Kevin Zettler, and they lost starting left guard and John Simpson. So the offensive line for Baltimore has issues.
Yeah, they drafted
Left tackle in the center is back.
I think they drafted they either drafted Fontenot or no, maybe that's who the Steelers drafted. They drafted they drafted wait, who did you say again? What team?
Baltimore.
They drafted one of the Washington guys maybe? No, Fiagu went to the New Orleans, I think. Hold on, what lineman did they draft again? I'm trying to think what the hold on 1 second.
How much worry do you put on Buffalo's offensive line? I'm sorry, Baltimore's offensive line. Smitty. Is that a concern for you?
I'm trying to see who they drafted too. Look,
Oh, they did draft Washington guy in the second round, Rosengard. I knew it was a
Okay.
Washington guy. They drafted Wiggins, the corner from Clemson, in the first round, who I do like a lot. He's small, but he's a stud. Rosengard.
if Lamar can keep being MVP, I'm not worried about Baltimore. Offensive, I mean, obviously you need to have a half decent offensive line. I'm not familiar with the ins and outs of their offense.
Neither am I,
At the moment, so.
to be honest.
They have Lindenbaum, who was like this he's stud center. He was the Iowa kid a few years ago. He's a beast.
Well, I mean, it jumps out. They lost their starting left
Ronnie
guard, and they
Stanley,
lost
right?
a Pro Bowl right guard.
They still have Ronnie Stanley, right?
I believe so.
So I mean, he's really good. I think I like their own guard kid a lot. That Washington offensive line was awesome because they had 3 guys in their offensive line go in the top for 1.5 rounds of the draft.
Was their offensive line bad last year? I don't think it was.
No,
No,
it's
not
just
at
a
all.
question. You know, it's
Really
things
good.
that
They
can
run
hold
the
you
shit out of
back.
the ball.
Yeah.
But yes, was their offensive line good? Yes, but they lose both guards
Yeah. No, fair
this year.
question.
So yeah,
I think Baltimore is a franchise that is able to reload instead of rebuild.
I mean,
Any
we
position.
talked about a team that draft well for 20 fucking years
Yeah.
ago.
yeah.
No team has drafted better than the Ravens in this century.
No, we said there should be a report card every 3 to 5 years that you should like look at.
What is Ozzie Newsome doing now? He retired, right?
I think he's just doing this thing probably, just chilling. Ravens are one of those teams like every time they draft someone, even like the middle rounds, you're like shit. Like why didn't we take? Like
Right.
that guy's gonna be good. You know it.
Buffalo, is Josh Allen supporting cast good enough? So they didn't add high-profile pass catchers. They do get Scantling and Matt Collins. Drafted Keon Coleman in the second round. Lose Diggs and Davis.
I'm interested to see if
Sam-
Diggs
How's
is.
this kid? You know, this
Samuel too.
is one I feel like is a big one. Buffalo, we keep talking about that window. What do you make of Buffalo in terms of what they've added and lost?
Do they think that Diggs will be a addition by subtraction situation?
I don't know.
I mean, I've been the one pounding the table for this team that I think like they're going to be just fine in offense. I love the Shakir kid. I've talked about him a bunch. I love him.
Kincaid's awesome.
Kid.
Kincaid's going. I think Kincaid's going to be top 3 tight end.
Kincaid is a stud, and it was legit more like a receiver than a tight end, true pass catcher. And then Keon Coleman, who if he's the guy that they think he can be, at Florida State he was awesome. Michigan State he was very good too. So he's a kid that's he played at Michigan State. He's from I think he's from Michigan area. The cold is not going to be a problem for him. He's used to it. He's grew up in it. So, yeah, I really think their offense is going to be just fine. I think it's one of those things on paper, you lose Diggs and you get very concerned. I think they're going to be just fine. I think Josh Allen is good enough to make people around him better. And I think they have enough good pieces with Shakur, with Kincaid, with Coleman. Curtis Samuel, I think, is a good piece. They have a bunch of guys to work with. And Dawson Knox, you go double tight. They have a lot of things they can play off of there. And James Cook was great last year.
Cook was awesome.
It was really good. I think there's plenty there to work with. I think people are just seeing Diggs go and looking at them. It's who are they going to throw to? Who are they going to? They have plenty to work with there. And Josh Allen is an absolute stud.
You put the Bills as the favorite in that division?
Yeah, them or the Jets. Listen.
Well, that's what I'm asking. You got to pick because it's a 3-horse race. Sorry, Dukes. It's a 3-horse race. I know Miami has no bowls, but they'll be in it. You can't say they won't be in it. Definitely going to be in it. So who do you make out of the 3-horse race?
I think it's a 2-horse.
I think it's the Jets.
2-horse race.
You taking the Jets?
I'm taking the Jets.
It ain't no 3-horse race.
It's a 1-horse race.
2-horse race.
It's a 1-horse race. It's the Bills.
Yeah.
I don't like Miami.
Rodgers is gonna tear his leg again.
I can't have this conversation any other day. I just think the Jets will Jets somehow, some way. Whether it's they're the number 1 seed in the AFC, and then week 17 something fucking tragic happens.
Well, yeah, they could still be. They could still beat the Jets and win the division.
Yes. It's been a long time since they won a division, though.
I meant more week 17, against the Bills for the division.
Got it.
I don't think the Jets. I think the Jets can have a successful season. I just don't think they'll ever win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
I like it. My friends are Jets fans, and it's nice where they have this quiet confidence, but also anxiety surrounding them. And he's I'm so excited, but also don't want football to come. That's a horrible position to be in.
Well, the chips are all in, and they had a last year where the chips were all in, and then they got the car ripped out from under them 2 seconds in.
I think it's fucked up that they're playing the 49ers on primetime football week 1.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal first game.
That is so fucked up.
Brutal first game.
Does Aaron Rodgers run out with the flag again? I think he almost has.
Actually, him tell the story about the flag on PMT.
I didn't listen to.
They said so. He didn't want to. He said he was afraid. He never ran out with it. He thought he was gonna trip or something. And every single player ran out with it. So he was like, I gotta run out with it. And then and then he was and then it was the coolest thing ever. And then he got clemmered.
A note for the Bills too. Curtis Samuel's best season was in Carolina with Joe Brady as his OC. Brady is now Buffalo's OC. 1,000 scrimmage yards that year. So Benny Fazio's
Samuel's a very solid he's a middle class man's Percy Harvin. He's very respectable. He can run the ball. He can legit pass catcher. He's not the most dynamic player in the league, but definitely a dynamic.
I don't know. Percy Harvin without the migraines is pretty fucking dynamic.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's a middle. I said Percy Harvin's the elite.
Percy Harvin was returning kicks. Is that the same?
Curtis Samuel could I don't know if they'll have him do that with this offense, but I think he could. He definitely is capable of doing that. Yeah. He did at Ohio State. He was awesome. A lot of end arounds. He's a lot of you can throw him the ball as well.
Guys like Percy Harvin and Cordell Patterson, guys who take snaps in the backfield and stuff. I just think they can just keep
play forever. Is Patterson still in the league?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
he has to be. He's unbelievable. They should put him back on the Falcons for the fun team.
Yeah, he's
put him back on that team.
Oscar, really quick question. Yeah. Do you guys think that for going just to the Jets, do you think that Robert Saleh makes it the entire year?
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah, I think so.
If they were dog shit, he's out. I think last year, if they had done what they did and Rodgers was healthy, he would have been out. Rodgers kind of was his scapegoat, whereas Rodgers got hurt. What am I going to do?
Yeah, the only way he's out is if they're in everyone's healthy, it's a 500 situation, and Rodgers wants him out.
Yeah, my whole point of that is I think that Robert Saleh has set himself up in the offseason with his actions for upsetting Rodgers and shit, that if he is 500, they will fire him.
Right. Oh, no, if he's 500, he's getting fired.
Right.
Nathaniel Hackett, head coach?
Yeah.
Please.
Again?
Jacksonville, who's calling the plays? Press Taylor's the OC, and Doug Peterson has yet to announce who's calling the plays. When Peterson was calling the plays, they had a more successful season. Is the offensive coordinator? It's kind of who's running the show. I thought that was interesting.
Almost the exact same thing happened when Doug Peterson was coaching the Eagles.
Yeah, just an interesting note where you got a quarterback in Lawrence who's not yet elite. You know what I mean? So, like, just an interesting note. And then this one kind of cracked me up. There's a couple more, but this one cracked me up. Kansas City, who's starting at left tackle? I know left tackle is an important position, but that's it for the Chiefs? That's all we got? That's the biggest question mark? It's a nice place to live.
It's their only question mark.
Yeah. They drafted the kids.
Hey, Travis has been abroad all season. It might take them a little bit to like get it going.
Oh, yeah.
Mahomes is in Amsterdam, and everyone's just on the Eras tour. Yeah.
Last year it took them, but Kelsey missed that first game. They lost at home to the Lions.
Yep.
When is like
They play Baltimore week 1.
They'll be fine.
Tough game.
They'll be fine, of course.
They lost to the Raiders on fucking Christmas and still won't cut down the.
Oh no, that's what I know. But if we're saying from a betting
That's
perspective,
fine. They still won the title.
from a betting perspective early, or even home field advantage, like you drop a couple games early, like home field's gonna be really, really tough.
Like they didn't have it.
They didn't have it last year and didn't matter.
They went to Buffalo,
which made it even more impressive.
Yeah, 2 Buffalo and 2 Baltimore. They got
Right.
2 wins as dogs in both games.
Miami, will Tua get paid? 5th and final year of a rookie deal.
Yeah, I don't think they're damned if they do, damned if they don't. Because I think he's in that realm where he's like fringe 10. Like, I'm not really a big Tua guy. I think he's like I said, I think he's good, not great.
He led the league in passing last year.
It's to me, he's good. I just don't think they just have such elite receivers. And I do think McDaniel's a great play caller too. I think he's very good at calling plays. But I don't know. I'm just not crazy about him. And their team, I've said it over and over, and I think everyone would agree just based on their history and just being a Dolphin and him like being a Hawaiian guy playing for the Dolphins. They're soft when they have to go on the road.
Right.
They can't win, and every single good team in the AFC besides Houston is like a cold weather city. Like
Some teams just have that.
If they don't get the number 1 seed, they're going to have to do to Kansas City, to Buffalo, even to the Jets if they work out, to Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati. Like look at these places they have to go to if they don't have the number 1 seed.
Right.
They're not going to win in these places, or they're going to have to get really lucky. And it happens to be 55 degrees in January in Cincinnati. Or they're in trouble.
Chargers, what will the offense look like? You add Harbaugh, but you lose Allen, Mike Williams, and Eckler. You excited about
ground and pound, baby.
Yep.
Ground and pound.
You know who I'd not realized? I'd forgotten who they got, who I think is has very boom potential. My guy, J.K. Dobbins. When he's healthy, he can ball.
Yeah.
It's just he just hasn't been healthy a lot. When he's healthy, he balls.
And Harbaugh is going to fix the lines. He's going to do things the right way. Are they winning the Super Bowl this year? No. But are they going to be competitive every game? Absolutely.
He literally just went and got Baltimore's running back. He just got Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
Good.
We're going to pound the rock.
Stole him from his brother.
Pound the rock. And I mean, he watched J.K. Dobbins abuse him at Ohio State. But when Dobbins was there, he was dunking on scoring like 4 touchdowns against Michigan.
And the last one, the Jets. How much does Rodgers have left? I think it's a fair question.
Who's the Jets' backup this year?
Tyrod. So good backup.
Yeah, good backup.
Much
Good
better,
backup.
Much better backup. It's one of the better backups.
He can manage.
Absolutely.
With that defense, they're still dangerous.
If Tyrod Taylor was the quarterback last year, I think they might have made the playoffs.
100%. No, they do make the playoffs.
Probably. They were close-ish.
Or if they got Josh Dobbs mid-season.
Yeah. Picks. Ev, what do you got tonight?
So I'm taking the Yankees in the Subway Series.
2 must-win games last night for the Yankees and the Mets, and they both delivered. That was a big spot.
Yeah, so I'm taking the Yankees. I'm going to take the over as well in the Yankees game. Then I'm also taking. Sorry, I'm looking for the last one I had. Oh, the over 11 in Red Sox Rockies.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. It's obviously in Colorado.
Yep, for sure. Yep.
I'm going to take the Astros, going to the A's. I think the Astros we wrote the Astros off, and they're right back in the mix. Don't be surprised they make a move at the deadline. Astros are back in it. I'm going to take the Astros tonight against the A's. Smitty, what do you got?
I went 0-6 yesterday.
Nice.
Just an 0-6.
Nice.
So I'm taking the Knights.
Okay.
Yes. Reset.
Smitty versus the board. Take the board. Duke, you got a pick?
No.
How's that lacrosse pick working out?
Bad.
Okay.
They lost. They lost their gimme.
They lost their gimme? Okay.
Which
I was looking at the standings, and I was like,
I mean, it's still alive.
okay.
It's just that one would have been nice.
All right.
Because they have to play the number 1 seed twice.
Okay.
Which
All
they
right.
could steal one.
Fair enough. All right. That is Pick Central. Yaks rocking next. We'll see you tomorrow.